Imagine your brain is a little raccoon, curious, twitchy, always sniffing around for more. More snacks, more notifications, more money, more everything. Now imagine this raccoon is running the show in a world built on hyperconsumption. That, in a nutshell, is the premise of Scarcity Brain by Michael Easter. This isn't your usual self-help pep talk. It's part investigative journalism, part science deep dive, and part adventure memoir. With Easter dragging us through casinos, junk food factories, digital detoxes, and even a Mongolian hunting trip, all in pursuit of one slippery question. Why can't we stop wanting more? Easter argues that the modern human brain is running on Stone Age software. It evolved for scarcity, not abundance. The result? A mind that is constantly scanning for short-term rewards, even when they're unnecessary, harmful, or just plain ridiculous. Think, doom scrolling until your soul hurts, binging on junk you don't even like, or hoarding emails like they're gold bars. Through gripping stories, weird experiments, and cutting-edge research, Easter invites us to pause, zoom out, and confront this primal glitch with curiosity and courage. So, grab a coffee, silence your phone, if your scarcity brain can handle it, and let's take a long walk through the world of want. How we got here, brains built for not enough. Let's go back in time. Not like 5 years ago, but prehistoric back. Our ancestors didn't have calorie-counting apps, Amazon Prime, or triple foam pumpkin spice lattes. They had hunger, danger, and just a few sharp sticks. In that world, craving more made sense. If you stumbled across honey or a fat rabbit, you gorged. If you saw shelter, you took it. And if you sensed threat or uncertainty, your brain lit up with alarms that screamed, "Do something, anything." Fast forward to now. We live in a buffet of comfort, distraction, and excess. Yet the old wiring remains. Our brains still think winter is coming, that food might disappear, and that being bored is death. This leads to the scarcity loop, a neurochemical feedback cycle that keeps us trapped in seeking behavior. It's the mechanism that makes slot machines addictive, Instagram irresistible, and YouTube rabbit holes practically inescapable. It starts with an intermittent reward, a like, a payout, a ping, and loops back to anticipation, anxiety, and a compulsion to chase more. Easter brilliantly weaves in studies on dopamine, the brain's pleasure-predicting molecule. Contrary to what most of us think, dopamine doesn't actually reward us when we get something. It spikes when we anticipate it. It's the itch, not the scratch. Which means modern life, with its endless teases and tantalizing what-ifs, is basically a dopamine jungle gym. We're climbing and swinging and leaping and rarely touching the ground. The casino experiment, a laboratory of craving. One of the most eye-opening parts of the book happens inside a Las Vegas casino, where Easter teams up with a behavioral scientist who uses slot machines as a case study for the scarcity loop. These machines are engineered down to the lights, sounds, and payout ratios to exploit our brain's love of unpredictability. When a win is random and intermittent, we get hooked. It's the same mechanism that drives people to scroll TikTok for hours or obsessively check their email, just in case. But what's truly wild is that we don't even need rewards to stay addicted. Near wins and false positives work just as well. Easter talks to people who've literally spent tens of thousands of hours playing slots, sometimes chasing a jackpot that never comes. They aren't dumb or lazy. Their brains are simply reacting perfectly predictably to scarcity signals and dopamine patterns. The lesson? If you want to beat the scarcity brain, you need to recognize the loop. And step 1 is knowing where it hides. Spoiler: it hides everywhere, from your phone to your fridge to your shopping cart. The food problem: eating like cavemen in a snack world. Food is the ultimate scarcity brain battleground. Our ancestors ate whatever they could find: roots, bugs, berries, the occasional unlucky antelope. That diet was naturally high in fiber, low in sugar, and involved a whole lot of chewing and walking. Enter the modern pantry: hyper-palatable, ultra-processed, calorie-dense chaos. Easter dives into the science of how processed foods are designed, not accidentally, but intentionally, to hijack our dopamine systems. These foods are engineered for bliss points, the perfect mix of salt, fat, and sugar that makes us crave them endlessly. He visits food labs, interviews scientists, and even does a personal food experiment that involves eating only whole foods for a month. No labels, no packages, no preservatives. The result? He feels better, sleeps better, thinks clearer, and, surprise, eats less without trying. It turns out when you remove scarcity signals from your food, randomness, artificial flavor bombs, etc., your brain calms down. You stop foraging in your own fridge like a desperate squirrel. You feel satisfied. Digital dopamine. Why you can't put the phone down. Next stop. The glowing rectangle in your hand. Easter makes a compelling argument that smartphones and social media are today's slot machines. Every swipe, tap, and scroll is a potential jackpot or a crushing dud. Notifications are designed like slot payouts. Instagram has no bottom because it's a dopamine gusher. The design is not flawed, it's perfect. Perfectly aligned with scarcity brain mechanics. Easter even tries a dopamine fast, a sort of digital detox, and documents how deeply wired his compulsions have become. In the absence of distraction, his mind rebels. He feels twitchy, anxious, even a bit lost. But then something curious happens. Boredom returns. And with it, creativity, calm, even a little joy. He proposes that digital minimalism isn't about giving up technology altogether. It's about using it with intention. Can you log on without being lured into a loop? Can you watch one YouTube video without surfing 14 more? Can you post without spiraling into feedback addiction? If not, maybe it's time to reset the circuit board. The Adventure Cure, Lessons from Mongolia. Now, here's where Easter goes full Indiana Jones. He travels to Mongolia to learn from nomadic tribes and to test what life without modern abundance feels like. Hunting on horseback in freezing winds with people who sleep under the stars and live off the land? Not exactly a weekend getaway, but the Mongolian experience is illuminating. These people live close to scarcity. Not fake, manufactured scarcity like your limited edition sneakers. Real scarcity. Food, heat, water, none of it is guaranteed. And yet they're not panicked or miserable. They're resourceful, grounded, and often happier than your average office drone mainlining caffeine and Instagram. The takeaway isn't that we should all become hunter-gatherers. It's that voluntary exposure to discomfort, cold, hunger, solitude, boredom, resets the scarcity brain. It rewires us to feel gratitude, presence, and peace. When everything's not available all the time, we start appreciating what we have. How to reboot your scarcity brain without becoming a monk. Easter doesn't leave us hanging in a Mongolian tent. He brings the ideas home with practical, if slightly uncomfortable, suggestions. First, do hard things. Challenge resets the loop. Run without headphones. Eat real food. Turn your phone off. Learn something that requires effort. Build discomfort into your life not as punishment but as training. Second, embrace boredom. It's not the enemy. It's the gateway to thought, insight, and even joy. When your brain isn't busy chasing random hits, it starts making connections, dreaming up new ideas, and slowing the heck down. Third, identify your loops. Where are you chasing phantom rewards? Where are you acting out of impulse rather than intention? Awareness is step 1. Disruption is step 2. And fourth, this one might sting, lower your expectations of constant happiness. The scarcity brain thrives on the myth of once I get X, I'll finally be satisfied. That's a trap. True peace comes from rewiring the chase, not reaching the finish line. Final thoughts. You're not broken, just ancient. Scarcity Brain is not a judgmental book. It doesn't shame you for eating chips, scrolling TikTok, or impulse buying glow-in-the-dark yoga mats. It gets you. It gets that you live in a world of engineered temptation, that your brain evolved for survival, not serenity, and that breaking the loop isn't about willpower, it's about awareness. Michael Easter's work is part warning, part guidebook, and part love letter to the part of your mind that remembers how to be wild, present, and fully alive. It reminds us that we weren't meant to live like this, perpetually unsatisfied, always scrolling, always seeking. But with small shifts, conscious discomfort, and a willingness to face boredom like a brave little raccoon, we can reclaim the mind from its worst instincts. In a world that screams more now, faster, maybe the most radical thing you can do is want less. That's the magic of beating the scarcity brain.